Hello, it's Chris Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com, the ChrisVossShow.com. Currently, the blog post we want to share with you. We're going to compare two phones here, the Motorola Razr M against the AT&T Sony Xperia Ion. Now, the Sony Xperia Ion has been updated with the latest in OS software, the Android 4.04, and originally it came out with Gingerbread 2.3.7 on it. So we're actually doing an update, and of course pitting against some other phones that are on the market. We're very happy with the update too, by the way. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to Chris Voss and also the ChrisVossShow.com email list, as we get all the phones from all the major companies now, and you'd love to see all the reviews that we will do on them. So with the Droid, Motorola Droid Razr M, you can get this through VerizonWireless.com. That's VerizonWireless.com, and you can check out all the phones they have there. And the AT&T phone, of course, is from AT&T.com. That's AT&T.com. Be sure to check out all the phones there. Thanks to both companies for providing the phones for us. The dimensions on the Motorola are 4.82 times 2.4 in width times 0.33 in thickness with a 4.44 ounce weight. It has a 4.3 inch size, 540 by 960 pixels, 256 pixels per inch. Super AMOLED screen, 16.7 million colors. Capacitive multi-touch screen. Talk time is 20 hours. Standby time is 17 days with a 2,000 milliamp battery capacity. Has a dual-core 1.5 gigahertz processor, a gigahertz RAM, and 8 gigabytes of ROM. 4.3 gigabytes maximum user storage with a micro SD expandable memory of up to 32 gigabytes. Has a back camera of 8 megapixels and a front-facing camera of 0.3 megapixels VGA. The back camera, of course, will do 1080p HD video calling, all that good stuff. With the Sony Xperia Ion, we're looking at a height of 5.2 inches against 2.7 width, 0.4 in thickness. The weight is 5.1 ounces. Talk time is 4 hours max. Standby 350 hours max with a 1900 milliamp battery. The LCD color TFT display is a resolution 720 by 1280 pixels, 4.5 diagonal screen, and 16.7 million colors. It normally comes with the Android Gingerbread 2.3.7, as we mentioned. We've updated it. 1.5 gigahertz Qualcomm Snapdragon S3 dual-core processor with 16 gigabytes of internal storage, raw hardware. 13 gigabytes internal storage available to the user is 1 gigabyte of RAM. It also has expandable micro SD card up to 32 gigabytes in the back. The resolution is 12 megapixel, and the resolution on the front is 1.3 megapixel 1080p HD resolution. So that gives us a rundown of both devices. Looks like the Sony kind of turned off on us as we were probably ignoring it. Both devices are really cool. One thing that's interesting is the Sony has, of course, your finite swipe back and forth. It has your ability to, of course, do widgets and everything else. One thing that's very different with the Motorola is if you swipe from the left to the right, you come with a quick settings menu. It doesn't have the finite swipe where you can go back and forth across menus. You have to go this way to get into all of your stuff. And it has kind of a different way of adding pages and everything else. You can see here one cool thing that's with the Motorola Razr is you can take and have animated, or what they call live wallpapers, on the back of the device. And you can choose from several different things you can do, or create galleries, wallpapers, etc., etc. Pretty cool customization that we really like. And of course you can add widgets and all that good stuff. One of the things that we really liked was it made it easy to get into the widgets menu by just flipping through the current apps that you might take and have. And one thing we also did like, if you noticed, it has a drop down and out, and then a pull up and move over sort of swiping mechanism to it that we like. It gives a graphical, interesting experience to whatever it is that you might be taking and doing. So we liked that. That was kind of a fun little feature of both devices. You can see down here the notification pull-down menus, pretty much the same old boring stuff you can find on most Androids. Nothing really exciting to see there. Both devices are great devices. We've liked using both of them. Each of them have their own strengths and whatever the case may be. On the top here, underneath this thing, I believe we have a speaker for making calls, front-facing camera, back button, home button, and recent apps button. On the AT&T, we have the speaker across the top, front-facing camera. We have a menu, home, back button, and search button. Taking a look at the backs of both devices, I believe this is a Kevlar back from what I was reading on the Motorola. Very cool design back at the very least. It has the camera eye here, the lamp flash, and the speaker. We were kind of concerned about the speaker because the speaker faced downwards, and it looks like it would get muffled if you set it down on the desk. Turns out the speaker is very powerful, and we were very impressed with it. On the Sony, we have the camera eye, we have the lamp flash, and the speaker that's here. We're not really excited about the speaker. It really struggles to output good sound. You should test it before you take it in, buy it. I would definitely recommend that. Now, the one thing on the Sony is it does have a pull-off back top, if you will, place for your SIM card and place for your expandable memory here. Okay, so now we can see here we have both devices. You can see there's a small microphone hole kind of on the bottom of the Motorola. It comes to a point from a thicker point, so it's hard to see how that works. There's a small microphone hole here for the AT&T. Sony, for the Motorola Razr, you're looking at, there's an earphone jack here, and an earphone jack here, and it's kind of nice to have the earphone jack in the center on the Sony. Okay, so on the Motorola, you have the rocker button up and down. You have the power button here. You have also a rocker switch up and down on the Sony and a power switch here. You also have a shutter buttons for shutter on the camera, turning off your video and your camera shots, I should probably say. Down the Sony on the left-hand side, we've got an HDMI output area where you can pull this off. You can charge your device here with the sync and everything else. You can also plug in a micro HDMI cable here and be able to put this to your TV. It's kind of a cool effect that you can put up to your TV. Kind of looks like AirPlay or an iPad connected to a TV. It turns sideways and has a different menu than what you have on your phone. On here you can see there's a sync port for the Razr. There's also a pull-out piece here on the left-hand side where you can put in your SIM card and also the expandable memory up to 32 gigabytes. Okay, so we're going to look at some tests here that we took and did. We're going to take a look at the speed test and that we did with speedtest.net. And on these are going to be, of course, speeds that we have from the log. And in doing that, you can see the Wi-Fi, of course, is still active on these devices. When the speed tests were run, it was turned off. So what you can see here is the speed test for the Verizon network on the Motorola and the speed test on the AT&T.com. The Motorola is definitely a powerful device that can really pass a lot of data, was what we found in our tests with it in comparison with other phones. Okay, so here we've done a Geekbench test on both these devices. You can see here the Motorola came in at 1440 against 944 for the AT&T Sony. You can see here it beat on the Motorola, it beat pretty much across the board on each of the different devices. You can pause this as I page down to see individual scores if you so choose. Not much to really reason to do that, but some people really like that sort of data. So we'll just page down through it here, and of course you can pause it if you want to see anything in particular. But for the most part, both devices do a pretty good job. We do feel that the Sony is faster with the OS update, and definitely it's got some nice cool little features that we definitely appreciate over the gingerbread that was originally on it. Here you can see our comparison with the Razr against the Sony. 6809 with the AnTuTu benchmarking app, 6781 with the Sony benchmarking app. And you can see the breakdowns of CPU, integers, and float points. Okay, so now here we're doing a display test where we can see the difference between the displays and how they present different colors. I got to tell you, the Razr is almost 1,000 times better looking to me. It has a much brighter green, much more powerful, brighter, everything else. The colors look bright and good on the Razr, where they look pretty much washed out in comparison on the Sony. Sony does have good colors, but definitely the Motorola has really great, beautiful colors that pop out at you. Okay, so here we have the billion counter test that we've done. You can see here that the Motorola counted to a billion in 25.194 seconds. The Sony did it in 30 seconds. Alright, so here you can see we've done the passmark performance tests on both these devices, and looks like the Motorola Razr M scored 2069. The Sony scored 1873. Let's page down here. The CPU tests that we did, the Razr scored 5207 against 4005. Disk test 3285 against 2484. Memory test 2436 against 1665. And 2D graphics test, we came in at 2434 on the Razr, 1849 on the Sony, 631 3D graphics tests on the Razr against 742. Okay, so now we can see a graphical thing on how both devices perform. This is the quadrant standard test that we've taken and doing here. You can see here that the Motorola Razr M came in at 4722 on the device, and on the Sony it came in at 3143 on the device. So you can see your considerable difference between the two different scores. You can see the benchmarking of some of the other devices out there and the totals down here. Okay, so here we can see the Villamo scores. With this does a number of tests, including the SunSpider test. You can see it's 1691 HTML5 against 1407. The Metal scores 550 against 387 on the Sony. Okay, so now you can see here we're doing the GPS test. And what this does is test how well each device can get close to accuracy of knowing where it is on the planet and how many satellites it can take and pick up. You see here the Motorola is picking up about 22 different satellites, in use about 15. It's only getting within about 30 feet for some reason. Normally it will get within about 10. So will the AT&T. We get about 10 to 13 feet, but right now it looks like it's only picking up 22 satellites, 11 in use. It seems to be really struggling at being able to find all the satellites. I'm not sure if it's a solar thing or if it's a hot day or whatever the case may be, but looks like both phones are struggling to get down to what they normally get, a GPS accuracy of about 30 feet. Well, 10 to 30 feet, I should say. So, not sure why we're getting this erratic stuff from both phones right now, but it is interesting. There you go. Okay, so now here's what we're doing. We're doing the KFS simple benchmark on both these devices. It measures frames per second. You can see here the Sony came in at 22.7.5, and the KFS benchmark on the Motorola came in at 39.1.45 with its screen benchmarking test for frames per second. Okay, so here we can see the benchmark scores using the AnTuTu 3D rating benchmark, 3286 for the Motorola, and for the Sony, 2079. Okay, so we're using the AND-E benchmark here. The benchmarks the threads, both native and Java. The score was 5189 for the Razr, 4029 for the Sony, 160 for the Java on the Razr, and 146 on the Java threads for the Sony. Okay, so here we can see the SQL scores using the RL benchmark SQL Lite performance scores. This takes and sees how well the device can do indexes, insert strings, inserts, tables, all sorts of good stuff. You can see some of the individual scores here, pause it if you'd like. The overall score was 26.94 on the Motorola Razr, 72.464 on the Sony. Okay, so now here we can see the speed test results using the Motorola as a hotspot. So we've activated it as a hotspot, fed it to a iPad 3G, which will burn a lot of data if you give it to it. And you can see here the results we got from the Verizon network. So it processed a lot of really great data very quickly and very fast, as you can see here. Okay, so this is the speed test we did of the hotspot for the Sony. We were using the Sony as a hotspot, and then what we're doing is running it through an iPad, and then doing speed tests using the Sony's hotspot. So you can see here the results and numbers that we got in the service from the Sony as a hotspot. Okay, so now we have a Skype call. We're using the Verizon network. We're not using a localized Wi-Fi, and this is going through Skype. And wow, it's coming out really good on the iPad 3, and I'm coming across fairly good back through the Motorola. So I'm pretty impressed. Little fallout here and there every now and then, but then it will usually improve as it goes through. But yeah, really impressed with the like, once again, this is one of the better pictures we've seen coming from a front-facing camera. Okay, so now here's a call that we're taking and doing through the AT&T network, where we're processing a call through Skype. In this case, we're not using a localized Wi-Fi. We're using a front-facing camera going through the AT&T network. Definitely got some slow delays here that we're running into. Could be our location that we're at and the antenna or whatever area we're in. But we should be getting a good feed from AT&T. Who knows what it could be? It could be the processor on the Sony is not outputting as well when it's running through a more limited source, such as the AT&T network, as compared to a localized Wi-Fi. Because you can see earlier in localized Wi-Fi, I got a great image. So there you go. It sounds to speak a lot of the processor in each device and how they process images and data. Okay, so the Motorola's got a great camera. It's got a really fast shutter. I really enjoy using it. It's fun to play with. For some reason, it just seems to be more responsive to the camera. It's got a great screen, of course, to work from. You've got your zoom in and out. You've got your area for your albums up here. It's got most of the same menu you'd find on an Android. You've got your settings here where you can do different things with shutters and stuff like that. You've got effects that you can take and add on here. You've got scenes that you can take and do. You've got modes you can do. You've got exposure, and then you've got your flash you can control. And then what's nice is you can just swipe and get rid of this little adjustment bar here, which is really nice. And of course you can get the focus and all that good stuff. Now you can easily switch between video and your shutter for your camera. You can easily switch from front to back, and you've got your shutter button here in both cases. It's a great little camera. I really enjoyed it. Let's take a look at some of the pictures we got. Now, one thing we really noticed about the camera, well, I'll get to that in a second. You can see here's a picture of a flower that we took. The light's a little rough during the day that we took that picture. Here's an outdoor picture that came out pretty well. Video-wise, the video comes out really well. Great blues, greens, everything is pretty much what it should be and how it works. Great camera. I mean, is it the best camera in the world? I'm not sure. You'd have to do some comparison testing, but it's a good camera. Now, this is one thing we always do. We always shoot my floor because some cameras jack up the yellow, blues, and greens to artificially adjust the brightness in the pictures and make them look like the pictures are cooler. This actually takes an accurate picture of the colors on my floor. What's even cooler is the video also takes an accurate picture also. So, we're very impressed by that it's not having its software manipulating its colors. The low light pictures of camera, this is taken completely in the dark with the flash. You can see here it takes a great photo without blowing out the photo. One thing we were super impressed with, and I started talking about this earlier, is its low light lamp ability. It has a brilliant lamp on it that takes great dark pictures. This is completely in the dark, and you can see it does a great job of lighting up not only the local area really close, but pretty much the whole area that we were working in. So we were really surprised that something as thin and small has that great of a lamp. So really blown away. You can hear me say wow on the tape there. So yeah, great little camera on the Motorola. I was very impressed with it. Be sure to check that out on the deal. Okay, so let's take a look at the camera on the Sony. It's got a great camera on it at 12 megapixels. Originally, when we reviewed this phone, we reviewed it against the iPhone 4S, and it came out really well in comparing with the phones with the 4S. Now, like all Android phones, you've got to switch over here. Of course, there's switches in different places in different Android phones, but they have some of the same features. You've got to switch between your camera and your video. You've got your shutter button here. You've got an area to get into your pictures. You've got different ways to control screens for scene recognition. You've also got different scenes you can take and do. You can control your iOS settings. You can see over here, and you can of course control your lamp settings for red eye reduction, fill flash, all that sort of good stuff. You also have the ability to control a lot of this stuff, the resolution you're using, etc., etc., geotagging, saving, capturing method, all sorts of different ways that you can take and do to customize this menu. Same thing with when you go into video mode. You of course have the ability to change different scenes on video mode. You can use video camera or the front camera to record, all that good stuff. You can change your ISO. You can of course make it so you use the lamp or not. Camera wise, it came out with great photos for us. Here you can see a low light video that we're taking the lamp on the back of the video camera, and this is a completely dark situation that we're playing this or recording this video in, but in essence, you can see here that it brightens up everything really well. It's got a great lamp to it, and takes really good color, completely in the dark video, as you can see there. Here's some pictures of flash, and this is completely in the dark, so this is getting the colors in a flash. The lamp flash on it's really good. This first one, we were moving the device around, so we didn't get a good, it had some trouble getting the focus before it hit it. This was a good hit with the focus where we kept it in one place. You can see here some really beautiful pictures that it came out with and was able to take. You can see here the detail on the road, see the rugged detail on the road, and the dig and the rock formations on the asphalt. So it came out really well with the pictures that we took. Great, beautiful pictures with this camera, and it's really hard to go wrong. So we love the camera on the Sony Xperia Ion 12 megapixel back camera. It's really nice. Okay, so now overall we like both devices. Each one has their strengths and weaknesses. You can decide which one works best for you. You can go to VerizonWireless.com. Be sure to check out all their wonderful phones there, and check out the Motorola Razr M at VerizonWireless.com. You can go to AT&T.com. That's AT&T.com. Check out all their wireless phones that they have there. Check out the Sony Xperia Ion. Decide if it's best for you now with the update that's come out for the Android 4.04. Thanks to both companies for providing the phones for us. We're getting phones from all the major companies, so be sure to check out our YouTube stream and subscribe so you get all the coolest and latest, greatest stuff. And also subscribe to the Chris Voss Show email list so you get those updates. Chris Voss tested, Chris Voss approved. Be sure to tell them Chris Voss sent you. Thanks for coming by.